inconsistency, like we talked about briefly on the protest, the idea of when it is and when it is not okay to protest, this idea of when it is okay to support First Amendment rights and when it is not okay to support First Amendment rights. Because what I've basically seen, for those of you who have not watched me, I'm probably, and I guess it might be a function of me just being purely hard-headed. That honestly might be it. I'm one of those people. You ever seen Bob's Burgers, people? You ever seen the episode where he's like creating the fake or the toy helicopter, and he's going back and forth with the guy, and then every time Linda, his wife, tries to get him to stop, it's the principal, Linda. It's the principal. That's me. I'm the principal guy. I know. My wife hates it, but it's okay. Actually, everybody hates it, but that's how I am. I'm hard-headed when it comes to my principles and my ideology. And if anybody goes back and hears what I said 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a month now, I said, look, maybe not everybody is protesting for the right reasons. Maybe they're not even sending the wrong message out there by protesting with their rifles out there, like, you know, maybe inciting something. But I'm like, that's not really for us to say, because the Constitution allows it. They did not violate, they were perfectly within their Second Amendment rights. They were not inciting violence, although some people may have been protesting for selfish reasons. They were not attacking anyone. They were verbally chanting against their government, which they have the right to do. And although there were quote unquote social distancing laws in place, at the end of the day, we have the right to assemble. If you want to be personally infected, well, I guess you got the right to do that. They had that right. And I mean, for better or for worse, I was like, look, you got to try to understand where a lot of these people are coming from. No, once again, there's some people out there that were legitimately protesting, getting a haircut, and literally are protesting to be surrounded by, I demand the right to be served when I want and how I want to be served. And honestly, if somebody wants to serve you, that I guess that technically is your right to demand it. However, there are a lot of people out there protesting because of economic anxiety, because they did not know when they were going to get their jobs back, their livelihoods back. They didn't know when they were going to be fulfilled again. It felt like viscerally something was off and the government was lying to them. And their government, the executives, whether it be mayors or governors, were extrajudicially limiting their lives, and they weren't even sure, or they're not sure exactly what the hell is going on. And mind you, these are the same. They have a right to feel that way, considering that officials like Nancy Pelosi, Bill Burr, Dianne Feinstein were telling us everything is A-okay. Look over here where I sell all my stocks because shit's about to go to hell. So it's not like they don't have a right to feel like that. They got deceived by both Democrats and Republicans. So even if I disagree with some of the reasons they are protesting, I am not going to condemn it. I'm not going to attack them for it. I'm not going to nitpick, because that's what people tend to do. Oh man, I saw these two signs on social media, so that means everybody's out there protesting with their rifles for a haircut. That is ludicrous. But I will tell you this, they did get results, because I ain't not a single one of them get shot with tear gas, huh? But in the same vein, I obviously support these protests as well. And I welcome those who were protesting for their rights to come and were protesting against this police state, against these authoritarian politicians and the authoritarian policies that we have been seeing enacted. I welcome them to come out and stand with protesters as well. Hell, if you want, you can say, because there's some people who say, I support peaceful protesting, I just don't like the rioting and the looting. Come out there and protect the stores from rioting and looting while supporting the peaceful protests. Because you know who else has been doing that? Activists and protesters have also been protecting stores from rioting and looting. from people trying to take advantage of the protest. So if you really support this cause and you do support peaceful protesting and you are against authoritarianism and you are against the police state and over policing in general, if you are against the governmental entities that have been limiting our rights at every single turn, then I invite you all to come out and stand with us. But I also, of course, support the protests. I do support the right to assemble. I do not support curfews, especially proactive curfews where there has been zero violence committed, but yet you are putting a curfew on the entire state when there's not even protests happening all over your state, like in Arizona. If you wanted to put a curfew in a certain area, cool. If there is like so much violence that you literally could not contain it, that's a whole different discussion. A little bit more nuance. Probably still wouldn't agree with it, but it's still a lot more nuanced and a lot more reasonable. But that's not what we've been seeing, have we? What we've been seeing is almost across the board, peaceful protesters assemble. It gets, starts getting a little, what's that, twilight? Is that what they call it? Right before the sun goes down. Cops start going off. All of a sudden, everybody's a violent protester, everybody's a looter, and everybody has a curfew. And the only ones who don't have a curfew, the only ones who are not being held accountable are cops. Just like when it comes to a lot of the things that people might have been complaining about in the other protests, when they were protesting, the lockdown, the quarantine, the only ones who are not being held accountable for their lies, and we have been lied to, and we'll cover that in another segment tonight. The only ones who have not been held accountable are are the politicians who have been lying to them. Has Bill Burr should have been arrested. Ro Khanna even has some interesting stocks. Robbie and I covered it on one of our MCSC Uncensored podcasts. Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein, like the people who gave corporations a bunch of our money and then denied us UBI, tried to deny us healthcare. The people who have basically been forcing hospitals to claim someone died with COVID, even if COVID wasn't the reason they died. The politicians who are making it, they're holding hospitals and nursing homes hostage and prisoner, saying, hey, you're not gonna get this money unless they die on a ventilator, unless you say they die on a ventilator. This is what the nursing homes are saying. This is what the hospitals are telling people. And no one is being held accountable. So, in essence, if you are ideologically consistent, there should be a coalescence here. There should be. The problem is this incessant need to feel morally superior to the other side. There's cultural breakdowns too. Got it. But I have cultural disagreements with almost every leftist and conservative that I know. Me and my best friend's dad have disagreements all the time. I don't look down on him though. He doesn't look down on me. We don't feel the need to make others think that we are morally superior to one another. We may vehemently disagree. We might at the time want others to think that we're the ones who are right. Who doesn't want to feel like that? But at the end of the day, when you really distill the conversations that we have with each other, we really have like the same adversaries, and our principles are still aligned. And so if you weren't one of the ones who were actually saying, look, man, it's their right to protest. You could talk about the way that they were treated by the police. You could talk about the privilege that some of them exercised, but also the problem isn't them exercising their privilege. What it is other people's inability to exercise privileges that should be inherent for any United States citizen. That's the problem. And yeah, it's important to talk to them and help them realize in situations like this, hey man, I supported you. I supported you whenever it was time for you to fight for your rights. And I would like for you to do the same. And you don't even have to say you agree with me. You could say you're out here. Why? Because I absolutely support the First Amendment right to protest. You know, there are a lot of people out there who are saying they don't want to see looting and they don't want to see people take advantage of these protests. And that is their only disagreement. Well, I encourage you to come out here and stand for their right to protest. So you can do two things. You can support other people's right to celebrate the First Amendment and partake in the First Amendment. And you can also protect the very businesses that you claim you are so concerned about. Prove to everybody that you're not merely trying to muddy the waters and distract from the conversation being had. But we can't even begin to have that conversation because everybody is so hell-bent on looking and appearing to be the morally superior side when we have seen ideological inconsistency on every side thus far. We're never going to get anywhere until we first start respecting other people's rights. Not only respecting them, but encouraging them. Even, you know, like I said, it's one thing to reach out and educate. People have reached out, conservatives have reached out to me and asked how to speak about this issue. Why? I've never insulted them just for merely being a conservative. They've never made me feel like I was wrong for championing any given issue. They've never made me feel like that. They may have questions, they may have nuanced disagreements, but I'm like, are you against over policing? They're, hell yeah. Are you against authoritarianism? Hell yeah. Do you believe institutional racism is real? Absolutely. Do you believe in gender equality or equity? Absolutely. So even though we might have disagreements about some of the tactics and strategies, we ultimately have the same beliefs. And so that is why we are generally comfortable with reaching out to each other with genuine concerns, genuine inquiries, and then working together to try and figure out how to best communicate them to our respective communities. That's how it is supposed to be. And maybe one day if we start getting to the point where people are ideologically consistent, which is going to be admittedly very difficult, considering that even within their own ideologies, they're ideologically inconsistent. Right? Like I said, you got people who are literally telling us a week ago, the day before George Floyd's death, you better vote for Biden, screw the racism, screw the segregationism, screw the 94 crime bill, screw all that, vote for Biden. Then the next day, Black Lives Matter. Oh, no. Black lives didn't matter when your ass was trying to tell us to vote for Biden. Black opinions didn't matter. You know who is not going to have they're going to have an opinion, but at least their opinion is not going to count? The 90 to 93% of the prison population that is black that will not be able to vote because they're considered felons. So black votes don't matter. The black votes that Biden took away. Black opinions don't matter. But all of a sudden, Black Lives Matter when it's time for you to get some clicks. Black Lives Matter when it's time for you to pat yourself on the back for being adequately okay with your opinions when it comes to race. Yeah, racism is bad. Black Lives Matter. Okay, that's cool. And literally everybody on the left and the right, if you ask them, they'll say, well, you know, not everybody, because racists won't say that. But even the racists will say racism is bad. Where your consistency? That's what we need more of. Consistency. Don't give me Trump is the worst thing to happen to black people whenever I literally was a victim of police brutality. Before the Trump administration, and I was a victim of police brutality during the Trump administration. Standing Rock happened before the Trump administration. Ferguson happened before the Trump administration. The militarization of police happened under the Obama administration, before the Trump administration. Kids in cages. The cages were built in the Obama administration. Barack Obama deported the most undocumented citizens in the history of the United States. Barack Obama and Donald Trump bombed the hell out of Muslim-dominated countries. Barack Obama and Donald Trump tried to institute, and to some degree were each successful instituting coups and regime change in Central and South America. Nah, cuz. You don't get to equivocate here and well, you know, Obama was definitely better than Trump. No. Biden is definitely better than Trump. No. But the Democrats, they're definitely better than the Republicans. No. They're all trash. They're all unaccountable. And there is exclusions made for all of them when it comes to the law. Not for us, though. Like I said earlier, for everybody who is swearing that there is 50,000 looters, for every conservative and every, you know, property protector, that's what I've been calling them, swears that it's all these looters and all these rioters and all these protesters being violent. How many looters do you think have been arrested compared to the peaceful protesters? And how many, and even when you compare those arrests, how many police who have incited violence, committed violence, how many of them will be held accountable for their actions comparatively? So at the end of the day, we're in this together. It's just, it's going to take consistency on everybody's part for us to realize that even when we disagree on the tactics and the methodology, we are still in this together. It's us versus them. If you keep letting them fracture us and divide us, them will win. And them's the facts. All right. So I just wanted to show y'all really quick what I meant by a lack of accountability. We got I mean, there's literally hundreds of different videos out there, but I wanted to show you all this video because this is one of the most egregious, because I've seen this actually happen multiple times. It's a cop who decided it was a good idea to attack people who weren't even part of the protest. So we're going to check that out. And then, of course, we're going to ask the same question I've been asking all for the last week.
Are you? Shoot it! Fuck you! You shot a car with a pregnant woman in it! With fucking tear gas! Fuck you! I ain't going nowhere! Fucking bitches! Fuck, shoot it again! She's fucking pregnant! Shoot it again! Are you? There's a pregnant woman in the car!
Did y'all see that? This man tells them he has a pregnant girlfriend in the car. You know that tear gas could have killed her. Or not kill her, but, well, actually it could have, depending on her condition, but could have killed the baby. Could have caused a miscarriage. Could permanently damage that child. How much accountability do you think there will be for what those cops just did? That is at the bare minimum aggravated assault. Bare minimum. But if that poor woman suffers a miscarriage, do you think that they will be accountable for the death of that child? Now, unfortunately, this isn't the exception. This is being proven to be the norm. They weren't even protesting. But I know this. I can almost guarantee that dude is out there protesting now. Did you not hear? They yelled, shoot him. He said, my wife, my pregnant girlfriend is in the car. They yelled, shoot him. Shoot him again. Now, I ain't gonna lie. He was on some gangster shit. The boys up there like standing up, taking, because I think they were shooting him with rubber bullets too. And he's just taking it. That's a different type of anger. I've experienced it when it comes to police officers. But this is why there is no equivocating here. See, here's the problem. When people are like, oh, well, Trump is right in what he said. It's right to deploy the National Guard. It's right to allow the police to use militarized equipment and weaponry. Last time I checked, people, like misdemeanor larceny did not warrant a death sentence. Misdemeanor larceny is by definition a misdemeanor. In other words, you usually are just given a fine and you go on about your business. So even if you were arresting a looter, which once again it seems to be all too rare, they're shooting everybody, they're arresting a bunch of peaceful protesters, but the people that they're claiming are ruining it for everybody, those are the ones barely and rarely getting arrested. But even still, looting does not mean open fire. It is not warranted. The penalty and the punishment must match the crime. That's not what we're seeing happen here. And even if you are caught looting, once again, you will be held accountable. If you were caught and they take you to jail, you will be held accountable. Even if to make a political point. The problem is, even when it's time to make a political point with police officers, the ball is dropped for various reasons. If a protester ignites and incites violence and unprompted harms a police officer, oh, not only will they be held accountable, they'll probably be dead. If we're being honest, they will probably be dead for hurting a police officer. I had my tooth knocked out for resisting an unlawful arrest. Having the audacity to know my rights caused me to get my tooth knocked out. Imagine unprompted and just sparking off on a police officer. You are a dead man. You will be held accountable, and the punishment will not match the crime because you will be dead. If you have any doubts about that, you have lost your mind. You have never, ever engaged in any significant way with policing institutions around this country. Bruh, they shoot people and scream out resisting when you're running away. And there's no accountability for them. There is no equivocating here. And if you're defending this, what do they always say? What's that? How the saying go? First they came for the Jews, and I said nothing, and they came for the black people. I said nothing. They came for the women. It came for the LGBT. And when it came for me, there was no one left to speak for me. What do you think this is? You think the police? I mean, yeah, they are all about hurting black people right now. If you listen to any of the radio scanners, they're clear they want to hurt people of color. But let's be clear about one thing. They may have a specific type of malice towards black people and Latinos. However, the violence is indiscriminate. Everybody's catching it. Pregnant women are having violent acts committed on them by police officers. And like I said, if something happens to that woman's baby, not a single soul will be held accountable. And it's absolutely why there's no equivocation here. Either you're against this type of tomfoolery or you're not. Like, if you're pointing to riots more than you're calling out corrupt policing, you're wrong. Because you're going to be next. If you're pointing to Because whatever you do, you forget. Once again, this is a U.S. imperialist playbook. Whatever you do can be co-opted. Occupy Wall Street got infiltrated. Everything you do, the mainstream media and the establishment voices and the establishment narrative from the other side can make it seem like, well, this minority of people is representative of the whole bunch, and therefore we should treat all of them the same. So if you justifying, if you're, well, the rioting, well, the looting, well, the this, well, the vandalism, well, the, it's, no, you're not really paying attention to the right thing. And you reap what you sow. Believe that. It happens. It's sad because some people got some real bad karma coming their way. Well, karma isn't bad inherently, but you know what I mean. They got some karma coming their way. And you know what's my saying about karma? Karma is disloyal as hell. She disloyal. Everybody gets it. If you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa, don't forget to like the video and smash that subscribe button. Want access to members only live streams, behind the scenes footage, and other premium content? Well, you can endorse us on Rockman Premium, become a patron through Patreon, or you can sign up for the MCSC Premium membership through YouTube. All the links are in the description below. But hey, more than anything else, always remember,
Find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.
peace.